there. Just trying to get a live stream in. It's Sunday. It's 1 o'clock East Coast time. This is when I do live streams, so we're doing it. We're live. I'm glad to see people watching. Thank you so much for watching. I just want to report briefly on the adventure. I'm approaching 6,000 miles on the vehicle, you know, basically 3,000 out to the West Coast and almost 3,000 back to the East Coast. I am in Cordele, Georgia. I stopped to see a friend in Tulsa. I stopped to have breakfast. I had breakfast with a friend in Tulsa yesterday. I had breakfast with friends in Atlanta today. And a little more cold in here. Sorry. And I'm on my way home. I'm going to stop and see my mom. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it all the way home today. Hello from Port St. Lucie. I love Port St. Lucie. Good morning, Mark. So I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way home today. In theory, I could make it home. I don't know if I want to do that much driving. I have my little apocalypse cabin near where my mom is, so maybe I'll stay in the apocalypse cabin. I kind of want to see the apocalypse cabin. But if I can make it home, I'll probably make it home. Driving the Plaid X, I had an experience. I guess I'm 24 hours from Tulsa. I'm more than 24 hours from Tulsa. Oh, Sunset Tesla. Hey, hi B. Nice to see you, Paul. So the thing I wanted to mention about Plaid X, you see a lot of stories about the acceleration of the Plaid vehicles. And it's usually like at a drag strip or just, you know, sitting still, and then you punch it and you feel the acceleration in the car. And a lot of people, when I take them for a drive and I show them that, I should look into Hedera. I don't know what Hedera is. Email me whatever that is, or put it in a comment, not in the chat, but in the video, on the comment on the video. So with don't put links in, by the way, don't put links in the comments, because YouTube holds links in the comments unless you're pre-approved, and most of you aren't. There's like a process for me to do that. So anyway, just, you know, sitting still on the road or punching it when you're driving, you get this feeling of acceleration, but it lacks context. So I discovered the context that makes the acceleration relevant. So the backstory is that my mother lives in Sebring, Florida. And when I drive up to visit my mom, I go up a road called Beeline Highway, and there's some passing zones where you pass on a dotted yellow line. And then from Okeechobee up to Sebring, there's another road called, I think it's like Florida 98 or something like that. And there's some dotted lines there, and I do some passing there. And I used to do it in the Volkswagen Passat, which is a very slow, like even for an internal combustion engine vehicle, the Passat is a fairly slow vehicle. I still liked it, but fairly slow. And I was able to do some passing with that. Then I got the Model 3. It's the Model 3 Long Range 2018 rear-wheel drive. And that's pretty punchy when you want to pass on a dotted yellow line. Well, this morning, no, I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, I did a couple dotted line passes in the Plaid Model X, and it was unbelievable. That was the context I needed. You punch it, I'm going, it's 65 mile an hour zone. There's a minivan in front of me going 55 miles an hour. The dotted line comes up. There's nobody coming the other way. I punch it and the road melts. The sky turns purple. The trees freeze. Everything freeze, like everything is frozen in time, and you just burst. And I get back into the lane, and I take my foot off the accelerator. I look down, it's 110 miles an hour. Like it was like 55 to 110 in like no time. It was crazy. Like I think I got to be more moderate in my pass. Now I need to control the passing, but that was the context I needed to really grasp the acceleration. So, you know, what the Plaids are noted for, acceleration. Yeah, wow, it's amazing. I imagine the Plaid S is like another level up, but the Plaid X is still unbelievable. So the other thing I wanted to mention about this vehicle, you know, this I have driven. Was it worth 20K extra for the Plaid X? I would say no. I would say for me, no, not for me. If you really like high performance, then absolutely 100% it's worth it. For me personally, I would probably rather have a long range Model X. I bought this because I'm not a high performance driver. It's not something that excites me. I like comfort, and that's what I was about to say is this is an incredibly comfortable vehicle. It's nice that it can smoke a Lamborghini and a Porsche, and the fastest Lamborghini and the fastest Porsche, but it's so comfortable. These seats, oh man, sorry. These seats are amazing. They're ventilated seats. So I'm going to say this. I've never said this before in my life. My butt is cool. My butt is cool. It might not be hot, but it's cool. Now, in the winter, the seat's heated too, so my butt would be hot. But right now, my butt is cool. I'm sitting on a ventilated seat, an air-conditioned seat. It's amazing. I hope they put this in Cybertruck. Oh, it does it. How does it handle at the higher speeds while passing? Mike, thanks for the question. It's my boy Mike there. I think the handling is spectacular. I mean, I haven't really put it in the twisties and really tried to, like, you know, push it through the corners and do all that. I will say that it always feels extremely stable, extremely planted on the roadway. But I haven't, like, it's not like I've driven on a track. And the thing is, it's so fast, you can't drive on public roads fast around corners because it's too dangerous. You know, somebody could be coming the other way. You just can't. Like, I don't know where you could really explore the ability of this vehicle safely, you know, because I got to have some degree of safety. Now, when I say that, I was in LA or Irvine, and we were going on a freeway ramp, and there was nobody ahead of us on the freeway. There were cars coming on the freeway, but there's nobody ahead of us. And I punched it, and by the time I took my foot off the accelerator, we were going 130, and it felt absolutely planted, absolutely comfortable, absolutely great. So it is a great driving car, but I'm not like the guy. I don't drive fast cars. You know, I drive my Model 3, and that's a great car. And I drove an Audi A4, and I've never been like a Porsche driver, a Ferrari driver, a Lamborghini driver. So I don't have the background to compare it to all that stuff. All I have to compare it with is just regular driving. And, you know, it drives better than the Model 3. You know, the Model 3, I think the Model 3 is a great car. I was going to say also, so it's a very comfortable car. It's very practical. It's got a lot of space. I would prefer the second row seats. Oops. I would prefer that the second row seats folded flat. But I don't have control over that. I got to live with what I got to live with. I hit the horn button by mistake. Yoke steering wheel. I absolutely love the Yoke steering wheel. I think anybody who complains about the Yoke is crazy. It is easy to drive one-handed. Let me see if I can show you this. When you're driving, you can one hand easily, you can hold it here, you can hold it here. It's easy to one-hand steer. You know, this idea that you have to, yes, it's good to have two hands on the wheel, but it's a very easy steering wheel to steer with one hand. You can, you know, get in here. There's all kinds of ways of holding this wheel, this Yoke. I don't understand the problem that people have. And then what you can see is, you can see this screen. When you're driving, this is a small nav screen on the left. This shows the FSD beta user interface, or the FSD user interface, that you can see the lanes, you can see the cars. This has your speed. The time you can see is down here. It says that we're supercharging. We're at 47%, by the way. I got 20 minutes to go. So this is a very useful information screen, and the wheel doesn't block it. So you're driving one-hand Yoke, yeah. How many autopilot interventions for your road trip? I'm not sure how many. I don't know how to answer that question. How many autopilot? I intervene a lot because I'm impatient. The car doesn't drive as aggressively as I would like. So there's times when I want it to do something and it won't do it. But how many interventions where it was doing something dangerous and I needed to intervene? I can't think of any. Another thing to mention is, I just had this conversation. For those who don't know, my brother just passed away, and somebody came to the house and we were talking about Tesla, and he's like, well, you can't go on road trips. I drove 1,350 miles in one day. I've had 2 days where I drove over 1,100 miles in a day. You're like, oh, you need to charge too much. But I stop, I charge. And this is another thing. Somebody asked me this earlier today. How many times did I have to wait for a supercharger? I didn't have to wait once for a supercharger. every time I pulled into a supercharger so far, including this stop here, there's some other cars here. Every time I stopped at a supercharger, there was an opening. Now, one time on Interstate 40, it routed me to a particular supercharger, and that supercharger was busy, and it rerouted me to an earlier supercharger that wasn't busy. So not once did I have to wait for a supercharger. Drive across the country, driving back across the country. Now, one time when we were driving to Starbase from Austin, there was a supercharger that had some, I think two of them weren't working at all, and one of them wasn't working right, so there weren't enough superchargers at this one stop on the way south. So there's one time, I think there's one time in my life where I had a significant wait for a supercharger. So it's, and these are like, the seats are like beyond belief how comfortable these seats are. And then I've got my configuration here. I actually just talked to the guy from Dreamcase, William, and he's talking about potentially making a Dreamcase for this, where you would have, the Dreamcase would extend here, be a one-person bed that extends between those two seats. I'd like to see that. I'm kind of okay with how I've got it set up. It's not ideal, but it's okay. I think I could make it a little more cushiony, but I like a firm bed. So tons of room in here. For one person, there's tons of room. I think for two people, there's, you know, not for two people sleeping, for two people traveling, for four people traveling, there's tons of room. How many plaids versus normal refresh X and S did you meet? On this trip, I don't remember. I know I was at a couple days, a day or two before this trip, I took my daughter, I think, to dinner, and we were at Lucille's Barbecue at Delray Marketplace. There's a supercharger there, and there was a Plaid S there. I've seen S's, I've seen X's. I haven't really looked. Honestly, when I stop at a supercharger on this trip, I'm either doing something like going to the bathroom or getting food, or I'm napping in the back. I haven't really networked with anybody, chatted with anybody. When I've been going to get somewhere and get stuff done. And this is unusual that I'm doing a live stream instead of, you know, there's a grocery store over there. I probably should be getting some food or going to the bathroom or something, but I'll be okay. Don't worry about me. Is there roadside service for an emergency charge? I haven't heard of that. I don't know about that. I don't know why I would need that. Lots of the public think every EV is like a Nissan Leaf that spends more time at the charging station on a road trip. Yeah, that's not true. I'm 6 feet tall. I mean, would a 6'3" person fit? I mean, yeah, there's tons of room in here. This is huge. This is huge. This vehicle, there's tons of space too. And I can't explain it, but that door, you know, because I have a Tesla Model 3, it seems a lot farther to that door than it does in my Model 3. And my Passat, like, it just seems like, because this vehicle is wide, but it just feels like extra wide. There's a lot of space in here. So anyway, I wanted to get into, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to tell you about the X. I personally, I'm not sure I love this windshield, the sun shining down, you can see the sun shining down on my chrome dome. You can see this. So when I'm driving, I wear a baseball cap because the sun's on your head so much. It's not really a big deal, but I just kind of prefer not having the sun on my head. I didn't realize it at first. The windows on the Falcon Wing doors do actually open. I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, just tons of storage. I put my laundry in the frunk. There's tons of room in the frunk. It's junk in the frunk. Yeah, I don't think you would recharge on the side of the road. I think you would tow. So the secret is don't run down to zero. Don't wear a mesh cap. So I wanted to talk about which Tesla. I used to think, you know, what's the best Tesla, and, you know, in a sense, the Model X, they're all different. They're all special in their own way. I actually think like the long range Model 3, because I have a long range Model 3 from 2018, but the 2022 long range Model 3 with, I think it's like 358 miles of range. That is an absolutely spectacular vehicle for road tripping, because that's more range than this vehicle. It's more efficient at high speeds. One of the things that really stands out about this car is when you get up to like 85 miles an hour, the wind resistance really starts to cut into your efficiency and really starts to cut into your range. So I'm doing about 180 to 200 miles between charging stops, which it's 2.5 hours roughly on each trip. Sometimes I manage 3 hours. And that's about right. You drive for 2 or 3 hours. You drive for about 3 hours. You stop for half an hour. Maybe it's 40 minutes sometimes. But that Model 3 long range, because there's a lot of places in the Western United States where you can go 85, even 90 miles an hour, having that super aerodynamics makes a huge difference in that how much of the range you retain. This vehicle, you're going 85 miles an hour, you're losing a lot of range. You go 70. This morning, I was not in a hurry. I was going to meet my friends, and I figured they were sleeping. I was going to get there too early for them. So I drove like the speed limit, like 70 miles an hour. And I got a lot better efficiency. Hey, there's a lesson for you, right? The aerodynamics matters. So this is like the spectacular luxury SUV. If you want to ride in style, you want to ride in comfort. If you want, and if you want the crazy performance, obviously the Plaid X, but even the regular X has got great performance. I haven't driven a Model S. I've ridden in a couple Model S's. I think the Model S. So the Model S is a great car for driving, and it's a great car for trips, but it doesn't have the same practicality of this vehicle being able to hold a lot of stuff, especially if you get the 5 or 7 seat Model X, where you can fold everything flat. The ability to store a lot would be great in that. This vehicle, unfortunately, with the second row, doesn't fold flat. I think that limits the practicality, but let's face it, if you're buying a Plaid Model X, you're not buying a practical car. But it's a spectacular vehicle. It's fun. So I think the Model X is like, you just have way too much money. I can't really afford this car, by the way. I just bought it because I knew I was getting it at a discount, and I'm going to sell it next year when I get the Cybertruck. I can afford it, but this was not a smart financial. It'll be a smart financial decision if it works out and I can sell it for $20,000 more than I paid for it. Even if I sell it for what I paid for it, it'll be a smart financial decision. But it's probably not the smartest financial decision. So this is like the great sort of all-around vehicle. If you don't need that like ridiculous extra range that the S has and the long range 3 has. Super comfortable air suspension, super quiet on the road. The Model 3 is a little bit noisy on the road, at least the Model 3 2018. Maybe it's gotten a little quieter with the newer versions. Maybe the 2022 is a little quieter, but this is a lot softer ride. So, S and X are like, you got more money than you need. Those are the vehicles to get. 3 is like a great long distance driving vehicle. It's a great around town vehicle, particularly the 3 long range if you're going to go on trips. The 3 standard range, if you're just driving around town and you go on trips rarely, if you're going on trips on a regular basis, then I think the standard range is probably done. I haven't done it. I suspect that the standard range is just not quite enough range. But if you can get 200 miles, 200 quality miles, then that's not bad. If you can do 200 miles of practical range between stops, that's good enough. I don't know whether the standard range Model 3 gets 200 miles practical range going 80 miles an hour. That's an interesting question. But the 3 long range, that 358 miles of range, you're probably stretching an extra charging stop. You're probably, instead of going 180 miles or 200 miles a pop, you're probably doing 250 or more if you're comfortable sitting that long. And for me, honestly, once I'm getting towards the end of a run, I'm ready for that charging stop. Maybe it's because I'm an old man. I don't know. Let's see how we're doing. 69%. That's important to see. We're at 69%. Yay! So you can see I've spent $15.77 so far. I haven't figured out what that is per kilowatt hour. We've added 54 kilowatt hours, $16 for 54. I don't know. What is that, like 35 cents or something? Will Texas make the Model 3? I don't know. How is it off-road? I haven't taken it off-road yet. I may be taking it off-road later today on some fairly bad dirt roads. If not today, I'll be doing it soon. Does this have dual pane glass for Falcon Wing windows or just the front? I think it's dual pane glass all around, but I didn't look and I don't know. And it's just a very quiet car. It's really striking how quiet this is. I am in Cordell, Georgia. I can't see. I think I'm in Cordell, Georgia. Yeah, Cordell, Georgia. Heading to Florida next. I'll be in Florida next. What's the total cost for a full charge of the Supercharger? There's different Supercharger rates. I've seen Supercharge. It's not sensible to talk about the cost of a full charge because different vehicles take different amounts of charge. Are you coming in at, you're not coming in at 0 and charging to 100. You're coming in at 10 and you're charging to 85. So 75 on this vehicle, that's like 75 kilowatt hours. If it's 30 cents a kilowatt hour, it's like a little more than 20 bucks. If it's 45 cents a kilowatt hour, then it's more, and then on a Model 3, maybe you're adding 60 kilowatt hours or 50 kilowatt hours. Sometimes I stop and I'm only there for 5 minutes and I add, if it's just enough to get home to plug in at home where I pay a lot less. So people ask that question, how long does it take to charge? Well, sometimes I charge in 5 minutes and sometimes I charge in 50 minutes. On average, I think I'm stopping for about 20 to 30 minutes. And the Model X and the Model S take longer to charge because they got to get more electrons in. People don't stop. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, they don't stop. If I didn't answer your call, I'm busy. So anyway, all right, I need to get to work at that. Let's see. Other big news, somebody mentioned in the comments, SpaceX did 3 launches in 48 hours. We're seeing SpaceX scale up. On the personal side, I think I've said this to other people, I am planning to move to live near Canaveral starting in July. I'm going to move out of my condo and probably Airbnb around. Even if you're watching, I need to talk to you. I'm gonna Airbnb for or house sit or something for a few weeks or a few months until I can figure out where exactly I want to be. Oh, hey Tom Nash is in the chat. Nice to see you, Tom. We still got to talk about Palantir sometime down the road. Not yet. So moving to Canaveral, I want to be near all the activity with SpaceX. I'm really excited about SpaceX. If you haven't seen it, they've got plans to build a huge manufacturing facility, bigger than what they currently have at Starbase, to do massive manufacturing for massive Starship production and massive Starship launches. It's going to be amazing. I haven't seen any Neuralink or Boring Company news. I remain very excited about Boring Company. Oh yeah, I was going through the vehicles. I forgot the Model Y. So really, you can think about it as the 3 is the baby S and the Y is the baby X. And the Y is certainly the most practical vehicle for a family. You get, I think, 330 miles of range on the long-range Model Y. That's pretty good. That's about the same as this vehicle. And the Y, it probably does a little bit better than this vehicle at high speeds. This vehicle is aerodynamic, but it's got a huge frontal. The coefficient of drag is reasonable, but the frontal surface area is so big that it's just pushing this big brick through the air. And at higher speeds, it just cuts into your range. So I'm curious to hear from somebody who drives a Model Y on a regular basis. How does it do at 85 miles an hour in terms of range? Practical range. My practical range, if I really push it, I could probably do 220 or 230 miles on this vehicle at high speed, like 80, 85 miles an hour. But really, you end up getting cut short. I'm trying to do my own mental math and figure it out. I try to get into the Superchargers with 10%. I think a couple times I've been below 10%. Maybe I've gone down to 7 or 5 once, or I don't know if I've gone down to 5 yet. And then I try not to charge up too much. But if you're going right away, it's not too bad to charge to near full or full. So I'm having a great run. Next up, how much time do I got left? I got 5 minutes left to continue trip. So I'm gonna wrap this up shortly. Is Tesla $1 trillion a share yet? No, Tesla's not $1 trillion a share. I know the stock market's been up and the stock market's been down. The stock's up, the stock's down. Look, Berlin is now at 1,000 vehicles a week. Texas will be there soon. Then they'll be at 2,000 a week. Then they'll be at 4,000 a week. They're getting ready to ramp. They're making progress. This momentary bump in the road of the stock price being down, you're a long-term investor, you don't care. I'm a long-term investor. I'm not selling stock tomorrow. I'm good. I'm happy. I think everything's great, and Tesla's wonderful, and the company's growing, and all sorts of good things are happening. My biggest frustration on this trip, by the way, is driving Navigate on autopilot instead of FSD Beta. I got so used to FSD Beta. I'm struggling to get used to Navigate on autopilot. I'm doing okay, but I much prefer driving FSD Beta to driving Navigate on autopilot. So, all right. I'm afraid I got to cut this short because I got to get back on the road in 4 minutes. So let's check any questions in the comments. Cybertruck quad motor will be the best vehicle on the planet. You know, I want to say this again. It depends what you need it for. I mean, I want Cybertruck quad motor for sure. Whatever Cybertruck I can get, I want it. For long distance road tripping, probably not going to be the best vehicle. If you're going to, do it for practical purposes, for Home Depot runs, for a lot of other reasons, it's going to be the best vehicle. But if you want to go on long drives, then that Model S long range is probably the best. And the Plaid Model X actually has pretty good range as well. Long range X is pretty damn good. Long range 3 is a great vehicle. Cybertruck would be nice in an apocalypse. Yes, unless it's an EMT, unless it's a electromagnetic pulse apocalypse, then none of these vehicles are going to work. All right, getting close to how am I doing on charge? A couple more minutes on the charge, and then I got to end this. So, because I got to get moving, because I want to take a shot at getting home tonight. Probably not going to make it home tonight, but I'm going to take a shot at making it home tonight. So, all right, but I'm going to wrap it up now. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to ask you, please check out the t-shirts at elonbits.com. This is my favorite shirt, but not that many people watch it, buy it. Tesla and Air, whatever, elonbits.com. Please support this channel on the Locals platform. Please support me as a YouTube channel member. Please support me on Patreon. Check out my other videos. Thank you to the moderators. I saw Mark Plott. I didn't see who else was there. Thanks to everyone for commenting. Really appreciate everybody. Take care, and more videos coming soon. I'm going to be home. I'm going to be a little bit of a transition. I'm going to be moving up to Canaveral soon. I got an endoscopy coming up on the 29th, so I'm going to be out for a couple of days. But starting in July, I should have something regular again. We should start seeing regular content. And again, thanks for sticking with me. I look forward to talking to you all.